Hi, this is James Ng with Old Capital, and we are here today with Zar Haro of JLL to talk about a new deal out in Waco, Texas. And so, Zar, thanks for joining us. If you want to kick it off and maybe give us a little bit of your background, and then we can get into the deal.
Hi, good morning, everybody. Thank you for having us. We're excited to be here on Old Capital's podcast, and love to tell you a lot about this opportunity. So myself, I'm an executive vice president in the San Antonio office. We cover multifamily in San Antonio and have a very strong specialty in secondary markets throughout Texas. And this is a really exciting opportunity because it's one that is kind of the growth pattern for the next step for a lot of people, either the small syndicator or independent rental owner. So we're excited for this opportunity that actually has some upside. You can get some cash flow going in day one. And it's a clean little property. So essentially what Towne Oaks is it's one of the best locations in Waco. You've got Walmart, H-E-B, Jason's Deli, all the major retailers, within really walking distance. But it's a 78-unit project that the basics behind it are you can raise rents by $100 pretty simply by doing upgrades. There's already other competitors that have proven out the business plan. So if you look in the bottom right of this picture, the property across the street is already achieving over $200 in increases upon their renovations. So you're not walking in and being the first person to ever try it. It's a kind of a proven out business plan. The location in Waco doesn't really get very much better. It's a average household income of about $54,000, which is perfect for the average renter, and still has the ability post-renovated on a 3 times metric to be able to achieve $1,500 for this demographic and still be able to have rents that are still within a manageable income level. So post-renovated, you're not going to have people moving out in Exodus because they can't afford it. So it's a nice, provable deal in a very well-located area.
Zar, can you talk, a lot of our investors are either up in Dallas or Austin, San Antonio. Maybe give them a little commentary around Waco and sort of this. I put up a slide here of sort of where it is, sort of southwest in Waco, and sort of how that's different. A lot of people think about Waco, they think about the university, but tell them a little bit about the surrounding area of this property as well.
Sure. So the surrounding area, you're going to be in basically south of the river, and west of I-35. So it's really one of the better areas of Waco. You're close to the lake. There is some additional competition near you, but at the same time, you're outside of the student population. You're really more in the population of people that live and work in the area. And all of Central Texas, including Waco, Temple, Killeen, is really a big logistics hub, as I-35 is basically the bloodline from Mexico all the way to Canada. And so you see a lot of shipping and logistics. As retail is starting to change, and you're seeing the Amazons of the world and all the major retailers doing a lot more online, you're seeing a huge demand in this logistics type business. And with that, you're starting to see really more blue collar demand for warehouse, industrial, people that understand logistics and robotics, and it's the nice blue collar type jobs that are perfect for the person that's living here. It's right under. It's essentially in a naturally affordable rental threshold. So you've got a lot going for it from the positioning, the area, but realistically, this is a great one that's just a morning's drive. Wake up 7:30, drink your cup of coffee. You're in Waco by, call it 9:30. Spend the day there, and then leave by 3 o'clock, and you're back in Dallas or Austin or San Antonio pretty quickly. And so what we see is a lot of people that they're scared to go to secondary, tertiary markets. But the reality is that you can be there in 2 hours. And if you go from one side of Fort Worth to the other side of Dallas, you're going to spend at least an hour and a half in traffic. So if you go south, it's only 30 minutes more. So realistically, you can find better opportunities where the competition isn't as thick, but the business plan is very similar. We think this is a double your money type deal with modest upgrades, and you're not having to compete against the rest of either the institutions or the hard money day one, $500,000 in Dallas or Austin. And so this is perfect for somebody that maybe is a little bit fearful to pull the trigger in Dallas and wants cash flow plus some upside. This is that deal.
Perfect. So we talked about some of the retailers that are close by, and then maybe let's just jump into the property a little bit. And I put up some pictures. Maybe give us a little bit of an overview of what the seller has done already, and then what you think the new owner coming in should do on this property.
So this project is in really good exterior shape. It's mainly brick. It has some really unique characteristics to it, in that you've got some brick walkways, a really nice full-size pool. You've got covered parking, so kind of all the nice amenities that you would see. They also have a laundry facility in larger properties, but gives a really quaint feel. There's a lot of single-story, a few two-story, but one of the things that the owner did was essentially take the old flat roofs and create a pitched roof on it, and it just made it look really nice. They look relatively new. I would reseal and stripe the parking lot, but other than that, the project from an exterior standpoint is in really good shape. Could probably use a little bit of tree trimming, but at the same time, overall really good shape on the exterior. And the interiors are in decent shape. They're definitely not what the competitors are doing. The competitors are doing essentially tile backsplashes, resurfaced countertops, new flooring, and new lighting packages and new appliances. Most of those are usually $3,500 to $4,000 in upgrades per unit. But the owner, through kind of what the renovation that they've done, has done essentially a lot of the flooring. Some of it's 4 or 5 years old now, but still in really good shape. I would say that this picture represents one of the better turns and isn't necessarily an upgrade. They haven't really systematically upgraded the interiors. These were 2 units that they made look nice, but most of them are going to be kind of your white appliances, maybe 10 years old. Flooring's in good shape. But I would systematically go in and put an updated paint scheme in there, new flooring, reface cabinets with some hardware. Just give it a nice upgrade. A lot of them have their own fireplaces, in which a lot of the competitors don't, and your average square footage is a little bit bigger than the rest of your competitors. So you should have not as big of turns, because you're likely to see this attracts families very well. Our average square footage here is 932 square feet. Again, pitched roofs, but really the thing to look at is you're really close to Parkland Elementary School, Tennyson Middle School, and Baylor's not too far away. And the reality is that you've got just a really nice apartment building. Some of the upside here, I'd say, is in the utilities. So the project is allocated for water, but they're only billing back about 65%. And then on gas and fuel, it's about 60% penetration rate, even though they're allocating it. So there's some additional upside in being able to collect a little bit better, probably about 10% better on the utilities.
And then, so even though this deal was purchased in 1960s, or constructed in 1960s as pitch roof, and then it's individually metered. The roofs were done, you said, in 2015, 2016, and then it's being professionally managed now. Are they got one guy inside, one guy outside, or it says two here, but
So when we took it out to the market, it was 2 maintenance personnel and 1 manager at that point in time. It was for them prepping up for the sale. Realistically, this is a 1 maintenance person, 1 manager type property. It really depends on what the ownership is going to do. If they're going to go in and infuse capital into the interiors right away, and you do it through contractors, we think your overall repairs and maintenance should be lowered post interior renovation. So upon stabilization, we think it's going to be a 1 manager, 1 maintenance type.
Okay. So if you come in, do, 3,000, 4,000 a door rehabs, update the units on the interiors, what are the competitors getting on their rents right now?
So the competitors are getting $1.02 a square foot, which would lead us to believe that you can move rents, call it 18 cents a square foot. Realistically, these are smaller units than the rest. These are larger units than the rest of the competitors. So we said, look, move it 10 cents, maybe 12 cents to be able to move to $100. And you still have the larger floor plan, they're roomier, they'll rent better. And so that's why we said 100. Some of the competitors in the submarket, namely Azure and Avila, are achieving $400 higher average rents than the in-place competitors. Now, some of their floor plans are a little different, but with really high upgrades, we're seeing people hit the marks on the ice for $400 higher than our in-place. So the business plan has been proved out for quite a few of them. But the average unit looks just like the top left image, where it's clean, functional, but definitely not modernized like the competitors are doing.
Okay. So the typical unit at Towne Oaks has the sort of white appliances, sort of beige cabinets, and then they walk into the competitors, they got black appliances, backsplash, nicer fixtures, cabinets, everything's been done. Okay. I gotcha. So I think it's pretty clear on the business plan here. How does that sort of translate into the P&L for the new owner?
So what we looked at here is the historical. We will typically underwrite trailing 1 income over trailing 12 expenses in our adjustments. And that's really because when we're in the marketplace so long, we expect by the time we call for offers that we'll have a 90-day trend from the time that we call to the time that we close. So we'll typically underwrite T1, even though a lot of the investors go, I'm underwriting T3, but we underwrite it into the trend. And sometimes it's good and sometimes it's bad if the trend goes backwards.
Sure.
It's been there before. And you guys are really good at, when it goes backwards, scrambling to try to make it work. So really what I would say is that the far left column and the middle column is really what we think is the adjustment. So we took a trailing 1 income over what we believe are the operating expenses that are likely to be what the operations for a true operator should be able to do. And a lot of that has to do with repairs and maintenance at roughly around $600 a unit, contract services, and landscaping and personnel. We're looking at, 1,000 unit in personnel. The one thing that we look at is we look at total personnel plus repairs and maintenance and contract services. And what we found is the agencies feel comfortable underwriting anywhere from $1,500 to $1,600 a unit in those basically combined columns for the total repairs and maintenance and personnel burden. And they can typically feel comfortable with that. The rest of it was pretty much historical marketing and advertising, administrative expenses. We think an owner-operator could probably reduce the administrative expenses down from professionally managed, but that's really up to the buyer on how they want to operate.
Yes. I mean, current historical, you're at 250 a door or 250,000 on NOI. And then with your adjustments to expenses, really you get to 297, but then the rental increase gets you to about 440 on NOI after reserve. So that's a significant bump in NOI for anybody coming in as a new buyer. So that's great. Let me jump into how we looked at sizing the loan. It really sizes very well. I mean, Zar, what were you guys the whisper price on this deal? What did you guys whisper on this deal?
So we're asking $5 million. There's probably some flexibility in it, but it really depends on where the offers come in and how competitive it gets. This seller is not just looking for price; they're looking at for somebody that's going to close with the price that they prescribed, sure, and is going to really not give them a hard time.
Right.
They're a first-time seller, so we're going to make sure to vet everybody as well as possible. But the reality is that we think there's plenty of upside for the next buyer, and realistically, they're going to go through the full marketing campaign to do the right thing for their investors. But we think there still may be some flexibility. We're looking for somebody that can differentiate themselves on pricing, and then terms are a lot to us as well.
Okay, so we based on that purchase price, we sort of sized up the loan. We're essentially at 78-79% of the purchase price on green, and then a little bit shorter, 3.7 million on non-green. And so on our underwriting, we took T3 net rental, T3 annualized on the other income. We used the 4% management fee, which is in line with what it is today. G&A, advertising professional, we at 350. Payroll, we sort of split the difference. We were at 1,050 on this one because it is a smaller property. And then utilities, we were at T12. And then R&M, we used 600 a door. That has some flexibility based off of how much CapEx you're going to put in the deal. And then insurance. So Zar, I think a couple of the buildings are in a floodplain. So we just kept with T12, which is at 800 per unit. And in taxes, we did 75% of the purchase price, which is comes in at about 105,000. So after you adjust for T3 rental and projected expenses, we come to about 292,000 on net cash flow, which gets us to about a $3.7 million loan non-green and $3.9 million on green. So very well leveraged deal. Zar, what is the best way for people to reach out to you to learn more about this property? And then do you guys have a call for offers date yet?
Yeah, so we have our call for offers July 10th. I'd encourage people to start taking a look at it as soon as possible, because the July 4th week is going to be challenging for a lot of people to be up and down I-35. And so I would recommend go early and then be ready to offer the week after. You can just reach me at my office line, 210-839-2004 is my direct line, and zar.haro@am.jll is my email. If you go on to JLL Properties, you can download all the information for all of our deals, but specifically you can register for Towne Oaks. It'll be there for anybody to take a look at. Give us a ring, and if you register for it, we're going to give you a ring anyway. But we really appreciate you guys having us on here and having the opportunity to present it in front of your audience. Great audience, and we always appreciate the invitation from you guys.
Appreciate you coming on, Zar. And if you guys want to reach out to him to learn more, I'd recommend doing that as soon as possible. Thanks a lot for joining, Zar.
Thank you. Have a good day.